kevinmd.com/podcast. Today, we welcome Heidi Sykora. She's a nurse practitioner, and today's Kevin MD article is The Case for Regulating, Not Banning, Kratom. Heidi, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, so before talking about your article, just briefly share your story and journey.
Well, I'm a retired nurse practitioner and healthcare executive, and most of my career was really focused on developing clinical guidelines and programs, as well as, of course, seeing patients. And typically, I would tend to see the most vulnerable patients, especially geriatric oncology patients. And so actually, I got my master's the year before you started your journey and your publication. So I've been following you for a long time. So it's a real honor to be here.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. And today we're going to talk about Kratom, which we've talked about on Kevin MD and on this podcast before. Tell us what your latest article is about. It's titled The Case for Regulating, Not Banning Kratom.
Well, I think it's really important that people understand, especially policymakers and also healthcare providers, the difference between kratom and a substance called 7-OH. And these have been conflated in media reports, in the literature, and they're very different. So that was my main objective of the article, is to make it very clear that kratom is a natural plant that's been used safely for centuries. And it is actually complex. It has over 40 different alkaloids in it. I believe they've identified even 50 now. And the primary alkaloid is called mitragynine, and that makes up about 60% of the plant. And it is a partial mu opioid agonist, but it also acts on multiple other receptors. It has some dopaminergic, some adrenergic, and some serotonergic activity as well. So in low doses, it has a stimulating effect, kind of like coffee, but in the higher doses, it can be effective for pain relief. The problem has been that recently a new substance called 7-OH has come onto the market. It's a semi-synthetic substance that they actually use really strong chemicals to draw out this trace metabolite of mitragynine called 7-hydroxymitragynine or mitragynine. And so in the natural form, that's not a problem at all because it's in such small amounts that as it metabolizes through the liver, mitragynine breaks down into 7-hydroxymitragynine, but it really is so small it doesn't cause a problem. However, when you bypass that system and you make that 7-hydroxymitragynine into pill form or, whatever form it might come in, then it really is a very strong opioid-like substance, and it has more of a potential for harm. So that is the big difference. And so that was my concern. And, I saw a lot of, articles that were conflating the two. They're two totally different substances as far as what you get in retail sales.
So tell me, for patients, when they see Kratom advertised in their drugstore or grocery store, tell us the type of formulations that are currently available, and typically what do patients look to Kratom to treat?
Mm-hmm. So a really large study was done by Johns Hopkins, and it showed that people are using it mostly for pain control, and that's like, I can't remember the exact percentage for pain control, but pain control, opioid withdrawal symptoms. And that's really important because the natural kratom plant does not lead to respiratory depression. So it's a much safer option for people than, getting illicit opioids or any other illicit drug that they can use the actual kratom plant to help with their withdrawal symptoms. So PTSD is another reason. A lot of the veterans have seen benefit for that using kratom plant, and anxiety depression are some of the other reasons.
And in terms of the available formulations that patients can just buy from a
Mhm.
drug or grocery store, what are they typically composed of?
So I think, the closer you are to the natural plant, the longer the history we have of safe use and the more we know about it. So the people can purchase natural kratom plant powder. And the most important thing is to make sure that it is a manufacturer that is following the what we call the Kratom Consumer Protection Act that has been passed in 18 states. Hopefully, it will be passed in all 50 states very soon. But that requires, first of all, age greater than 21, that the products are manufactured or packaged using good manufacturing practices, that they're lab tested. And I think that's really important. Consumers should be able to go on the manufacturer's website and see a certificate of analysis that shows that there's no adulterants, that the alkaloid levels are in line with the natural plant, and that there's no heavy metals, et cetera. So let's see, labeling. Of course, it should be appropriately labeled with the ingredients, with the serving size, and I think I might be missing something, but that's the general Kratom Consumer Protection Act, or KCPA. So that's in my opinion, that's the safest way that consumers can get that. You can order it online. There are many smoke shops that also carry kratom products. Now, the farther away you get from the natural plant, the less we know. And of course, the more safety concerns, come into play. From the natural plant, there are full spectrum extracts. So basically, they use food grade solvents and they just extract the fiber out. And it's a very fibrous plant. So, you know, most of the most of the powder itself is actually fiber. And so those full spectrum extracts, again, they're reflecting the natural balance of that plant. So the safety profile on those are very good. Now, there's concentrated extracts. And so for those, now you're extracting more of the mitragynine and increasing that. That is going to be and have more of a, safety concern, especially for those who have problems with addiction, because that can lead, to, more problems for people who do have, those kind of concerns. And then, of course, we go all the way to the semi-synthetic and synthetic substances, which, to me, in my opinion, those are drugs. Those, I think, should go through the new drug application.
And are those clearly labeled? So if a patient goes to a smoke shop or a drugstore and look for kratom, is it clearly labeled which is more directly a derivative from the natural plant versus something that is more metrogynine or even synthetic? Is that obvious to consumers?
Not necessarily. It definitely takes some education. And this is why reasonable regulation is so important. This should have been done years ago. Unfortunately, the FDA in 2016, attempted to ban, but natural kratom leaf and mitragynine specifically, they do not meet the criteria for scheduling per the 8-factor analysis. And so that's why kratom was not scheduled. However, they did not accept it as a new dietary ingredient either. So it lies in this kind of, no man's land, basically. And regulation is really what is needed to make sure that, consumers really know what they're getting. Now, the American Kratom Association, they developed the Kratom Consumer Protection Act and the Good Manufacturing Practices program. So they have vendors on their website that have met those criteria. It's not perfect. But at least it's a start. And those states that have the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, it limits, that's the most important thing that I forgot to say, is that the Kratom Consumer Protection Act limits the level of 7-OH in any Kratom product. So for the states that have the KCPA, those products really should be in line with, with safety and much safer for consumers. Enforcement is a whole different issue though. So some of the KCPA states have 7-OH products on the shelf. Well, their Kratom Consumer Protection Act should avoid, or at least give them the authority to enforce that and take those products off the shelves.
So there's been cases that we've heard in mainstream media, people using kratom that's linked to liver injury. The FDA has issued warnings about kratom and some serious risks about it. So what form of kratom are these referring to, or are they just throwing everything under the bus of a single label when the reality is more nuanced than that?
Reality is definitely more nuanced, and there's been a lot of bias against natural products, of course. And, part of that is, the unknown. But for kratom, there is just plenty of clinical studies on it. There are case reports that seem to be magnified, and that's typically what you're hearing. And there's like, one or two case reports that are not, that have a lot of confounding variables and don't even collect the product. So just because someone says I took kratom doesn't necessarily mean, that they took natural whole leaf kratom. It could be anything that they're calling kratom. So I think that that's an important distinction. So, for example, the kratom reported deaths, almost all of those have been due to poly drug use or some other underlying factor. And but if kratom is a co-ingested substance, it seems like the media focuses on the kratom instead of the cocaine or the, methamphetamine or, whatever else was in their system. And of course, toxicology reports are another conundrum because sometimes if kratom is found, or somebody is known to have taken kratom, they only test for mitragynine.
Mhm.
So they don't test for any other, substances. We found those cases as well. So it really does take the, details to understand what the real truth is. And so it's been real eye-opening for me to see the disingenuous article titles and sometimes the articles themselves that just really don't meet the standard that I would expect.
So what would you like to see? Because I know that there are some states that just ban kratom entirely. When you say that you want kratom to be regulated, specifically in your ideal world, what would that look like?
Well, I think federal regulation would be ideal. So a federal Kratom Consumer Protection Act. And I think that would really protect access for all the people, millions of people who benefit from kratom, and also put some safety net around it to make sure that youth are not getting it, that's 21 and up, that any, alkaloid level is not able to be altered, increased, concentrated, et cetera. And, I'd like to see it be sold in more nutrition stores, with people who can do some education rather than, the current, smoke shop,
Hmm.
format that we have. So I think that that would be the most ideal thing.
And the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, tell us exactly what's included in that.
So the Kratom Consumer Protection Act is common sense regulation that limits the level of 7-OH in any product to less than 2% of the total alkaloid level or 1 milligram per serving. It requires product preparation with good manufacturing practices, lab testing of all products to ensure purity, restricts sales to those over 21 and older, and proper labeling.
We're talking to Heidi Sykora. She's a nurse practitioner. Today's Kevin MD article is The Case for Regulating, Not Banning, Kratom. Heidi, let's have some take-home messages they want to leave with the Kevin MD audience.
7-OH is not kratom. 7-OH is a semi-synthetic drug. The natural kratom plant has been used safely for centuries. Let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. The FDA has recommended a ban on 7-OH, and they made it very clear that they are not targeting the natural kratom plant.
Heidi, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and insight. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Yes, Heidi. Yes. That was amazing.
That was great.
Okay, now I'm going to read to y'all. There's this whole thing happening over there on LinkedIn with this certain person talking about, his son was addicted to the powdered kratom for 8 years or something like that, right? Now, Heidi, Dr. Heidi, had put down in his comment section her podcast interview with KevMD. I want y'all to hear. I'm not going to name this person, but I want you to hear this person's reply to Heidi. I was shocked when I read it. This person says, coincidentally, I watched your video a few days ago. I watch all of them, and I use AI to help me evaluate them. Yours were shown to be pure propaganda. Your arguments are very weak and illogical. I thought it was embarrassing. I know who the experts are in this space. They exist, and they are humble and helpful, not defensive and insecure. I'm not sure who's paying you or why you think you're an expert, but you are far from it. I'm a responsible and respectful person, but when I detect phoniness, I call it out. This was this person's reply to Dr. Heidi. And this person obviously has no idea what Dr. Heidi has done, what she's continuing to do.
That's just downright hateful.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is it hateful, but it's like, he obviously doesn't even know who Heidi is. He's talking about he knows the experts of the space. Obviously, you don't.
Right.
I mean, for anybody to say that she's selling propaganda, that's ridiculous.
And they always accuse us of being paid.
No.
We are not paid to advocate for kratom. We speak our firsthand experiences. We follow the science. And I've told this to people before. They can't even get mice addicted to kratom. It is human behaviors, habits, routines, and rituals that makes one become addicted to kratom. I am proof of this as well.
I mean, it's just so now we're gonna downright disrespectful, dude.
And this person, no, I don't even, I don't even want to slip up and say this person's name.
Yeah. There's a lot of people think they know a lot of things, and they don't know not a one. Yeah, I just don't understand why people always accuse us of being paid. It's like, why is it so hard to understand that we do this because of our lives are just better? Yeah. I want other people's lives to be able to be better. I want other people to have the option and the freedom of choice if they so choose to try it.
Yeah, we are passionate advocates. You can't fake passion.
No.
We're not doing this, for profit. Some people are,
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are. But I mean, I can't remember what you were talking about the other day, but there are still genuine people in the world,
Yeah. With a good heart, that's full of passion. I want to help save the next person that was like me in my 11 years of active addiction. I had no idea that kratom was even a thing on this earth.
I know.
Had I known, I would have found it sooner. I probably would have gotten my parents on it. They probably would have lived longer.
Mm-hmm. It's just,
So
I don't understand why people can't just understand that. Not everybody's out to make a buck. Anyway, so we're going to watch the New York governor. I don't know how to say her last name.
Hochul, I think, or
Hochul,
Hochul.
okay.
I don't know. She signed two kratom bills. I feel like the bills could have had more restrictions in it myself. That's just me.
Yeah.
But it's a start, so. And what's up, Michael Riviera?
Oh, I hope everybody that's listening, I hope y'all have a very Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Michael, it's good to see you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Merry Christmas Eve.
But yeah, so she signed the bills yesterday. It was a whole thing that she did in New York. So this is state number 19 now that's got KCPA. Are you having problems, girl?
19. No, I hope not. Hold on, let me try and play it.
Good morning.
Okay, no, I'm not. All right. And I started getting freaked out for a second. All right, state number 19.
Yep, state number 19. What's up, Mike Fazio?
Hey, Mike.
Or Fasano?
Hey,
I think I always say your name wrong.
Fasano.
Fasano.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Hey, Tracy.
That kind of sounds Italian. Fasano.
I know, huh?
It is. It is in my head anyway. All right, here we go.
Morning.
Yeah,
I
Mike.
just had a mom-to-mom conversation with Carrie Scribner. She and her husband Dan and great friend Nick's godfather, the former mayor of Ballston Sprout, John Romano. Carrie should be wrapping presents for Nick this year. She should be, please sit down. She should be, celebrating a 4-month-old baby's first Christmas with her entire family intact. But that is not the Christmas that Carrie and her family can look forward to this year. Indeed, it was just over a year ago where their lives changed so dramatically. Because everything I do as governor is to protect New Yorkers, everything. And there's sometimes you feel a little helpless because there's someone you weren't able to protect. And that is a young man, 24-year-old Nick Scribner. So today we're addressing an issue that I believe ultimately will keep New Yorkers safe. That the story that was elevated with Carrie's powerful voice, unexpectedly thrust into the role of an advocate, given the choice, as others do, to retreat into the pain and the anguish of the unspeakable loss of a child, or to turn around and try to save other families from knowing the pain that she and her family have experienced because of the loss of her beloved son. She became a fierce advocate, gathering with other families that she found a spirit of decor with, other families that lost their children for a drug that people thought was absolutely harmless. It's natural, grows in the wild, it's not made in a lab. It must be safe. And they and other families found that was not the case at all. So I thank her for being the champion that this cause needed, those who rallied around her. Also, the advocates who got together. I want to thank all of you for giving of your time to spare other families this pain. And our sponsors of bills. And many times we can address problems by getting together with their colleagues in the Assembly and the Senate, talking about the options, how we can address crises or a problem, and then it lands on my desk. I want to thank bill sponsors Senator Pat Fahey, Senator James Skoufis, Assemblymember John McDonald, and Assemblymember Phil Steck, who you'll all hear from in a few moments as they can talk to you about why they were felt so compelled to take these steps. Now, Kratom is a largely unregulated herbal substance from Southeast Asia. It's ground into powders and capsules and teas and liquid extracts. It's sold in convenience stores and smoke shops and even online. Kratom has become more widespread because basically there's no warnings and no age limits. I mean, kids from high school can walk into a store and buy this. And it is a stimulant that has opiate-like effects, though. It can be used to increase energy, manage anxiety, alleviate pain, and even supposedly ease the pain of opiate withdrawal. Except it has its own addictive properties that no one knew about. Almost 1% of all U.S. adolescents report having used Kratom in the last year. Doesn't sound like a lot, 1% of Americans. That's 2 million. 2 million people have used it, including tens of thousands of New Yorkers and minors, young people who aren't even aware that there's something dangerous about this substance. You know, the FDA and the CDC, they do warn of addiction and dependence and dangerous risks, but Kratom is listed just in 1 year period as the cause of death in over 100 overdose cases, not nationwide, but in the state of New York. We lost 100 people because of this. These aren't abstract statistics, not just 100, it's real people. It's your neighbors, it's your friend, and in some cases it's your son. Young people like Nick Scribner, he died of in 2024 from a respiratory arrest caused by Kratom intoxication. That's what was said, Kratom intoxication. As I mentioned, what his family has gone through and what Carly has championed, we're here today. And I want to thank her again. I can never thank her enough for not receding into her own life, but stepping forward. And I want to thank everyone to make sure that his death was not in vain, that we could perhaps save other lives from meeting the same fate. I believe that New York consumers should know what they're buying, what they're ingesting. Their families should know. And they deserve to have clear warnings about the psychiatric, cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, and respiratory risks associated with it. Our state has built strong nation-leading frameworks to regulate substances, and Kratom has been used around the world for centuries. So there may be some, we're not talking about an outright ban, but if a product carries real risk, don't you think people should know about it? Shouldn't you at least be able to make that decision? So that's why we need protections. And today I'm signing balanced legislation, a responsible approach to Kratom regulation through two straightforward measures, aligning with basically how we already regulate tobacco and vaping products, cannabis, and alcohol. First of all, we're establishing age restrictions. It makes it illegal to sell or provide Kratom to anyone under the age of 21. Requires clear signage, ID checks, and a $500 civil penalty for violations. Secondly, we're setting marketing rules and requiring warning labels. These labels, as we've seen them before, will disclose the product ingredients and prominently warn consumers about the known risks, and that Kratom is not approved by the FDA. Together, these bills, I believe, will prevent addiction, and awareness. Nick would never have done this if he had known there were risks. He was trying to find a non-addictive natural substance.
I'm sorry, I just want to pause it real quick. No, she's not going back on it. It sounds like she really doesn't even want to pass this regulation. But no, this is just her going over the regulation that she did pass. Was it yesterday, Misty?
Sorry, yeah, it was yesterday.
Okay, yeah. She sounds really naysaying about it. You know what I mean? But yeah, she's just, that it does sound really negative. But I mean, it's a good thing, but that's what it's about. Sorry.
I think we can avoid more tragedies with these. We talk about protecting families and kids, and I want to thank my fellow champions for trying to do just that here today. I'm proud to cite this. But there's a part of me that wish I didn't have to. I wish that there were 100 New Yorkers still with us today because they knew the risks. And because of this warning, they did not ingest this. But alas, we are here today, going forth into a new year shortly with new warnings and hopefully giving people a new lease on life and sparing other families, as I mentioned, what this incredible family has gone through. So together we're making New York stronger, ultimately safer, and protecting the people that I've taken an oath, sworn to protect, and that is 20 million New Yorkers. So I thank everyone for joining us here today. Thank you for being great champions and advocates. And with that, let me call up Carly so you can hear from a mom what it's been like and why she's here today. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good morning. Nick was my youngest child, and he was quiet and introspective. However, he could always tell the perfect joke at the perfect time. His timing was flawless. He worked at the Village of Ballston Spa Pool for 4 years and decided he didn't want children after realizing how little children listen. And studied and had a great new job for the county, had his own place, a new vehicle, and we knew he was on to a great start for a young man. And then Kratom took his life. The side effects took his life. When you lose a child, you have, or any loved one, you have a choice of what you can do. And I took the former choice for a little while, and that was to take to my bed. But shortly after, Nick's stepson and godfather, who are here today, helped me start researching Kratom and realized how unregulated it was. And Nick, in fact, took it thinking it was an herbal health supplement. He was hoping it would help him with his chronic insomnia, give him more energy, and build up his immune system and make him real healthy. But within 6 to 8 weeks, he was hooked, didn't even know why, couldn't even put his finger on it because he was taking something that was an herbal extract and a health supplement. We miss him. We miss him. People say I am very brave, but Nick is the real hero, as are my comrades here in getting this bill together. I have had nothing but empathy, compassion, and support from everyone that I talked to in the legislature. No one misunderstood. Everyone went to action immediately on Nick's behalf. I would also like to say a word about the Saratoga County officials, my hometown, who let me into the town meetings. I was just a mom. Let me speak about Nick and about Kratom, and also took action. We picketed. I met other moms, and we made our signs, and we picketed places like little mini marts and gas stations that sold Kratom to anyone that walked in. I went into a mini mart shortly after Nick's demise, and there was a mini cooler right by the front door that had a unicorn seltzer with little sparkles coming out of her face. It's flavored strawberry, and read the very tiny, tiny, tiny lettering on the bottom that said contains Kratom. And no one even knew what Kratom was. So it has been my honor and pleasure to work with these folks here. I feel Nick's presence with us. I feel there will be fewer Nick Scribners who succumb to this drug, and more people engaging in the ripple effect that something like this has. We don't need to lose more young people to this. The word has spread, and I am very grateful. Thank you.
You made it happen. Thank you. All right, we have our sponsors go up. Senator Fahey.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie, for sharing a little piece of Nick. Thank you, Governor, for taking the time during what is a really busy holiday season. We're on the cusp of Christmas, often a celebratory time, but as Carrie said, not for all. And I appreciate, Governor, that you took this time during what is often a joyful week to remind all of us of the seriousness and how difficult this is for some families. So as the governor described, Kratom is a plant-based supplement, if you will. We talk so much about plant-based foods, plant-based supplements, vitamins. They all just sound pretty good. I try to do more plant-based foods, that is. But that highly addictive nature is something that is only getting very, very fine print. And the fact that it is so highly addictive, yet unregulated, completely unregulated for minors, I could not have been more honored to sponsor this bill along with my colleagues, who you'll hear from momentarily. And the fact that teens and young adults are often mistaken in the use, and that one-fifth of teenagers end up needing some type of medical attention, that's just a stunning number, in a business that has grown to $1.5 billion annually in this country. So your loss, I hope, will help prevent the loss of others, as I hope that the ban on those on selling to anyone under age 21 and plenty of warnings and labeling will help to turn this around. The FDA, at least the FDA of old, the FDA we used to know, did warn us about Kratom in 2017, but that's not enough. We need to go to the next step here. This is common sense. Maybe there's more we'll need to do in the future to stop this, but I have to say, this is something we may need to do more of because we are seeing this once again. Science and government are struggling to keep up with these new natural supplements. And so it is incumbent upon us to help families, to help young people navigate this. And what I have to say as a mom too, Carrie, I just so appreciate that you took your extraordinary grief and turned it into action. And I really hope that it will save lives. In fact, I'm sure this will save lives. So yes, I've walked in some of your shoes, and it gives me great comfort that I too can help join you in maybe preventing more loss. But you're a real hero, and I'm quite sure your son, Nick, would be extraordinarily proud of you for taking that grief and helping others and preventing future losses. Thank you so much, and thank you again, Governor, for allowing us to mark this moment and bring more attention to this problem. Thank you. Oh. And with that, how could I forget? I'm supposed to introduce John McDonald, my sponsor, for bringing this bill to me as I was new to the Senate. It's always an honor to be a legislative partner with you. And John McDonald.
Thank you, Senator. And Governor, thank you for providing your signature to these two important bills. My experience with the age limitation bill dates back about 15 months ago. Tim Murdoch here with Opiates, and also Sergeant Jessica Denegar with the New York National Guard. We met out in Scotia, and they showed to me the surveillance they have been doing throughout the capital region, particularly in Rensselaer County and Troy, and the abundance of all these products that were in many of the corner stores. And I went out and did a little reconnaissance myself, grabbed a few of these. I was amazed at how easy it was to pick it up and how small the print was, and that's not because I'm getting older. Mm-hmm. And it led me to work with Pat and to work, obviously, with Carrie to push this legislation, to put age restrictions. These are very common sense, logical first steps towards regulating a substance that has been around for multiple generations. It's not lost on any of us that this is the holiday season. It's a season of joy. Sadly, for families like Carrie's and many others, it is a season of sorrow as well. It is my hope that the legislation that we've collectively worked on together will bring greater days of joy for many families to follow. And now it is my pleasure to introduce a former colleague in the Assembly who thought it was greener over in the Senate, and that's Senator James Skoufis.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John.
I won't comment on whether it's greener, but thank you, Assemblyman McDonald, and thanks to my colleagues from the Capital Region for letting me in the Hudson Valley join this effort of theirs. And thank you to Governor Hochul, who really, and she touched on this, always puts public safety first. At first blush, this looks like and is a consumer protection set of bills. More importantly, in my mind, it is a public health statement that we're making today, and most importantly, it is a public safety statement that we're making today. These two bills will keep New Yorkers safer, so thank you, Governor Hochul, for always prioritizing safety in our state. The only other thing I would like to say as a father of a 4.5-year-old, and you know, there's a lot of hyperbole in politics, and I'm guilty of it sometimes, we're all guilty of it sometimes. It's just politics. When we're at events, we want to really stress certain points. It is not hyperbolic when I say that what the Scribner family, Carrie and her family have gone through, what Senator Fahey has gone through, it is unthinkable to me. The loss is unimaginable, to bury your own child. I don't know how anyone that goes through that experience is able to go on in life. I don't know how I would be able to. It is unthinkable, literally. And so Lori, she says that she's not courageous. People say, thank you for your courage. You are courageous, Lori, for what you've done. Because I don't know how most people are able to look forward after what you've gone through. And I want to thank you, Lori, and your family and the advocates for pushing us to do something in light of what happened to you. These are common sense, as my colleagues have stated. These are common sense measures. These are measures that not maybe will save lives. These are measures that will save lives, especially young lives here in New York. So thank you again, Governor Hochul, for signing these measures and making New York safer. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Assemblyman Phil Steck.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. The problem that we're addressing today actually dates back to the 1990s. You may all recall that during the 1990s, we deregulated the financial industry, and it led to the crisis of 2008. At the same time, we also deregulated nutritional supplements. Previously, they had to be approved by the FDA. Now, the FDA had to step in and prevent them from going to market. And as we have seen with Kratom, they issued strong disapproval, but nonetheless, these were common and on the shelves and posing danger to people like Carrie's son. I want to thank Carrie for bringing this issue to my attention as chair of the Committee on Alcoholism and Substance Abuse in the New York State Assembly. I was invited to a meeting by Carrie's Assemblywoman, Mary Beth Walsh, and we discussed the matter, and then went right to work on drafting legislation that would put warning labels on this product. And I thank the governor for adding to some of the things that we had proposed. So this is unfortunately a situation we are in with a lot of substances that are on the shelf, and I'm certainly hoping that this can be a springboard to doing some constructive legislation that hopefully will save lives in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes our speaking program. We invite the rest of the family, Commissioner McDonald, to join the sponsors as the governor signs this legislation.
This is her signing it with all like the 50,000 pins.
Dude, do they do this for every bill or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, I still remember the one in Louisiana.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and then in Utah, they
Yeah.
had like this little thing too. You know, this wasn't a hearing or anything. I was trying to keep up with the comments. But if anything, Bud Smith should have been there. You know?
Yeah.
He carried his butt to the state capitol like 5-6 times, something like that, 10 times. I don't even remember what it was. But you know, this right here, like I said, I feel like they could have put more restrictions in these bills, but it's a start. It's a start.
Dude, Mike had me laughing earlier too. I'm glad I had on mute.
Oh, really, Tracy? Oh, they gave her a pen.
Dude, the governor and stuff just seems really disingenuous.
Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like they need the cap limits on the 70H. That's what I feel like they needed.
Yeah. I think
But then again, I haven't read the bills either, so maybe
I haven't
there
read
is.
it
I don't
either.
know.
But as far as I've heard, it's just age restriction.
Yeah, just age restriction and labeling on the packaging saying, you know, the warning labels of it being addictive or habit forming or something like that. I don't know. I didn't take time to go read the bills.
Yeah, that's what they were doing, is signing the KCPA.
Yeah,
I'll have to go look at that bill later.
it was 2 bills.
Holy.
So, you know,
14% sales tax added in the bill the governor took out. That's weird. You think she'd want the sales tax to be added?
I know.
You know?
I hope this isn't a start of a ban bill.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure our ops, you know, I'm sure they got chatter going on saying that this is going to be the start, because that mom wanted Kratom banned.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you guys remember, you know, the news stories covered her little protest thing that she did out in Boston Spa, New York. And, you know, they had signs saying ban Kratom, it's a drug or something like that.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's not over. You know, what do they say? It's not over till the fat lady sings, and I ain't singing yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling, you know, I hope I'm wrong, but
Yeah. Guess we'll see. Okay. Well, we got to get up off here because we got to go attend something else.
yeah, but it was cool. I was glad. I've been looking forward to that Heidi interview. It was really good.
Oh my gosh, I know. So that guy that did the comment over there on LinkedIn, you know what, dude? Sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. But well, that's good.
I'm sure that wasn't cheap.
Oh, dude, I can't imagine.
I'm sure that wasn't cheap.
Politics ain't cheap. Getting these, it's just not. You know, I mean, and you have to play the politics to get these bills passed. Period.
Yeah. Wildflower candles and skincare. I remember seeing you at the Toledo hearing. So if you haven't already, you know, send Laura Romney Smith an email, sign up to advocate for your state, because we know bills are going to be coming through in Ohio.
Yeah.
So Laura at plantsandherbals.org.
There we go.
Email her your name, city, and state. Anybody that's watching us right now.
Yeah, because legislation session is coming up for a lot of places.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everywhere, but I'm saying January, February, and I have a feeling it's going to be, we're going to need all the help we can get. No kidding.
Yeah, we couldn't even take a break this year. We attended so many local municipality hearings. It was insane. In my 6.5 years of advocacy, we've never had to do that before.
Yeah. I've never seen
Never.
anything like it. Never
You
seen
know,
anything like it.
and now the state legislative sessions are coming up. So y'all be on the ready, like for real, for real.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a flood.
Yep,
Is
Mike.
that right? We need to
Yep.
build an ark.
Yeah, build a kratom ark with kratom leaves.
Oh, it's going to be rough. It sure is. But yeah, I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas.
No, Michael Riviera. No, not yet. There will be legislation coming through in Iowa, so be ready. Be ready. I was going to tell you that today earlier on the comment you left me on my Instagram video, but I saw that you were talking about your parents being sick, and I didn't want to like overwhelm you. But
Oh, I hope your parents feel better.
so I'm sorry if I'm overwhelming you right now. But yeah, there will be some legislation going through. So y'all, you better be on the ready. But yeah, y'all have a very Merry Christmas and Merry Christmas Eve. And just, we never plan on going live. We just go live when we go live. So, it's whatevs. What's up, John?
Hey, John. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully, I don't know, getting a break a little bit after Christmas, and maybe we can do a couple of. We've got so much stuff we want to watch.
Yeah.
And show everybody, and it's
We
just
got a lot of stuff in the vault,
in the vault. Yeah.
in the Kratom Crypt.
Oh, goodness. All right.
Everybody have a great night and a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Enjoy your holidays with your family and friends.
Because of Kratom.
Because of Kratom.